Good morning, everyone. I trust you are all well. It's Friday. You know it's Friday because I'm the Wandering Jew, as every Friday. So I want to share with you a fascinating insight, which we'll dedicate to those whose Yortzeit falls today, as well as those that we are learning and praying for in the course of the year of their passing. And we wish all the respective families long life and only simchas. So this week's Torah portion, one of the most fascinating and perhaps enigmatic aspects is the part that refers and describes about the cities of refuge. In days of old, circumstantial evidence was not sufficient in order to convict somebody of murder. So there very often were instances where there were people that were not able to be convicted of intentional murder. They were found to be having carried out an act of accidental murder, for example, negligence, and the axe head flies off and kills somebody. They leave a hole or something in a road, and then somebody dies, and so on and so forth. And to cut a long story short, they were sent to cities of refuge, which were run by the Livium, and there they would go through a process of rehabilitation. It wasn't prison, it was a place where they would reform their characters. There were no big plasma screens and people sitting in padded cells. The whole idea was that they learned from the Livium how to behave, how to improve, so that they could reintegrate into society. And that having been said, they stayed there until the high priest, the Kohen Gadol, died. And during the course of the time that they were there, obviously, they knew that their release, their freedom, their liberty was dependent on the death of the high priest. So we're told in the Talmud, the Gemara Marcus says that the mothers of the high priests would go to the cities of refuge and would give food to the murderers, right? Those that had killed accidentally and were in cities of refuge, so that they shouldn't pray for their son's death. Okay, so the question is obvious. We are dealing with the high priest, the Kohen Gadol, with the holiest Jew, right? And the mothers of the high priest are seemingly worried and deeply anxious and concerned about the prayers of a murderer. Why? Why the concern? Ignore it, so they'll pray. Who is God going to listen to more? The Kohen Gadol, who wants to live and obviously is going to pray for his welfare and that of the Jewish people, or that of a murderer? Right? We would expect that the mothers of the high priests do not need to worry. God will look after the high priests. They won't die young or early or prematurely, and therefore there is nothing to worry. And yet we saw that they did, and the question is obvious. Why? My late father-in-law, Rav Elovitsky, Zichroni Livracha, he, along with several other commentators, offered a most majestic explanation, simple and yet profound. And the answer is that the murderers, those that were in the cities of refuge, they would want to be free at any cost. They missed their liberty, and therefore, when they prayed, it would be a heartfelt prayer. They would pray with such intent, such kavana, such passion, such feeling and sensitivity, that even the prayers of the murderers, they could be more potent, more powerful than even the high priest. And one of the great lessons that Rav Elovitsky, my father-in-law, used to say is that we learn from this insight the power and potency of a prayer, that even that of somebody who may not be the holiest Jew, who may have done terrible things and misdeeds and transgressions, yet their prayer has potentially greater power and may be more receptive in the eyes and ears of the Almighty than the prayer of a high priest. And that should give us heart. That should give us heart and encouragement. Many times we stand in synagogue and we think, why bother praying? Who's listening? Who am I? What am I? What can I achieve? Well, we see from this week's Torah portion that if the prayer, a heartfelt prayer of a would-be murderer can overpower the prayers of a high priest, then we can achieve anything and everything with a sincere and contrite prayer. And that perhaps is one of the great lessons of this Torah portion. Now, just to end on a slightly lighter note, many have been asking me or been singing in front of me, it's coming home, it's coming home, football's coming home, right? And I'm sure, and we all are exceptionally excited, especially people like me that are football obsessed. It's very exciting, isn't it? Carol, Peter, Richard, Estelle, Caroline, and everyone else. We're very excited about football's coming home. But what exactly does it truly mean, right? And I was thinking, and I haven't developed the thought properly yet, but what does it mean for Jews to say it's coming home? What does it mean for a football fan to say it's coming home? And I think the idea is that we all crave in life. We crave connection. We crave inspiration. We crave to feel that we're part of something greater and bigger than ourselves. And I think that after a long COVID, many people up and down this nation, over 23 or 28 million, I've lost count, all watched on the great spectacle of the semi-final, and they were yearning and cheering and spurring on their team. And that is because we want to be part of something bigger than ourselves. We want to reach for the stars and to achieve true greatness in life. And therefore it was through the England team that many felt that they were able to feel a sense of aspiration and to achieve things that would of sublime significance and that they otherwise wouldn't achieve on their own. David, you just joined us. We're speaking about the meaning of it's coming home. I think in a Jewish sense, we're also always craving to come home. What does to come home mean, friends? So I think quite simply to come home means to come home to ourselves. There are many distractions in life and we find ourselves pushed and pulled from pillar to post. To come home means to reconnect and to get in touch with oneself, with one's own true self, one's soul, one's essence, with our faith, with our people, with our family. And I think that is the true lesson and message of that song, It's Coming Home. For us as Jews, there are many things that we yearn for, that we desire. We want peace and tranquility in this world. We want to feel inspired and uplifted, to achieve true greatness and meaning, to leave a lasting legacy, and to be able to make our mark and contribution as part of the Jewish people and as part of society. So that is our meaning of coming home, something far more profound, far more significant, and please God, it should be long lasting. So wishing everyone a Shabbat Shalom, wishing everyone well, but friends and community, it's coming home. Shabbat Shalom, all the very best. Take